It's
All
very
right.
exciting. How do we know? The broadcast is live.
It should. It'll take a few seconds to get to YouTube.
Yeah, I think it was about 30 seconds. All right, everybody, tell us when you can see us live. This is very exciting. Probably watch them go, nope. Uh-oh, Jill just said no. Or maybe she said no to the Northeast.
It's taking its time.
Or Jill is from the North Woods. Oh, yes, roll call. Well, that's not how you tell me roll call, Al. I can't do roll call until I get the official symbol. Nothing yet.
Yeah, this is a little perplexing.
Didn't want to test it today, though, did you? Well, thanks, Al. I'm going to wait to do roll call until we get this figured out. Let's see. Can maybe somebody go to, let's see, where do you normally find us? If youtube.com/NosillaCast? Is that us? No, that's the other one of me.
So I do see something on YouTube, but it's not where I expected to see it.
Okay.
Not quite sure what that. So I'm going to put this link in the chat room. See if you all can see it.
Did you remember to change it on podfeed.com/live?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking on YouTube itself. What I thought
and it's not there.
Let me. It's weird because StreamYard took me to what it's calling NosillaCast 874, but when I go there from my normal link, it's not showing the same video. So StreamYard is taking me to a different YouTube link. Mm-hmm. They're both labeled the same, NosillaCast 874.
Well, you typed in NosillaCast 874 into one of them.
Yeah, let me. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this embed code and update NosillaCast live.
Podfeed.com/live.
Yeah.
Okay. Okie dokie. And I will take this opportunity to point out that somebody didn't want to test this afternoon and said, no, it works just fine. I had a feeling you were looking at something that was not really connected in the way you thought it might be from before. But I guess I could do roll call. Are people watching? Or if you go to that link that Steve clicked, does that give you the real? Are you watching us now? Yes. Okay. That link works, but the web page is the same for me as Mike is reporting. The web page meaning the podfeed.com/live web page.
Boy, this is slow.
Yep. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do roll call because I'm getting bored waiting for it. So I'm going to do it anyway. We've got Brett and Kevin and Bill and Frank and Jill and Steven, Ed, John, Mike, Rick, Sandy, Steve, Michael, Al. Anybody in the sidebar? We got John in there twice, Ed in there twice, Jill in there twice, Kiwi Spoon in there twice. Bill, now that's so interesting why people are in there twice. But yeah, unfortunately, no Frank again this week. We wish him all the best. Things are not going great for old Frank. But
oh, I see what's.
Crack the code?
Well, no, I'm trying to edit the live page, but now I'm seeing what you're talking about in NosillaCast Live, so I've got to deal with the different format.
Do you want to switch me over to? I need to kind of start.
Yeah.
You could switch,
I'll switch you
over and then just type in. I'm going to close the door here, but you switch me over. Oh no, where did she go? She's back. So Steve has different controls than he had before. Oh, wrong light. Put on the right light there. Holy cow, that's bright. I think I accidentally turned it up a little bit. Just a second. Yeah, there we go. That's a little better. Doesn't blind me out. So Steve has different controls. I don't remember if I said it after we'd gone live, but there's a problem with macOS 12.2 and the new M1 Max and Quartz Composer, which affects Mimo Live. So if we had broadcast using Mimo Live, our normal tool, you would not have been able to see me, nor would you have been able to see Discord, or Hindenburg. So it would have worked great. Other than that, yes, 1Password shirt. Yay! Actually, I need somebody to take a screenshot of this. Mike, can you take a screenshot and like email it to me or something, or text it to me somehow? I want to send it to the 1Password guys because it's something funny that I said many, many years ago. Anyway, so what we're using is a tool called StreamYard. You can tell because of the fine branding this way. Anyway, well, that's weird. What? I start pointing in the right direction, then it changes. There it is. There's the branding over there. Anyway, so we're switching this up. So Steve has different controls. He can put both of us up with the document. So when we pop out of this next, it'll be him and me and Discord. So we'll see how that works. But we should probably start recording the show. And the interesting thing is I can't hear him when it's in this mode. If he's not visible, I can't hear him. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. Bad for you, good for me recording. So I'm going to start recording the show. Most of the show is pre-recorded, so this won't be a huge problem. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, February 6th, 2022, and this is show number 874. Well, we're having an interesting... Actually, I'm looking at this is peaking. February 6th. Why am I peaking? I'm going to redo that. I'm going to bring me down some. Hi, this is Allison. Yeah, no, my input is too hot. Too hot. Let me see what's going on here. All right, just bring me down some. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. That's a little bit better. And I think I actually brought this down too low. So I'll bring that back up a little bit. Let's try that again. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast. Okay, and then I blow my line. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, February 6th, 2022, and this is show number 874. Well, we're having some real good sausage getting made here during the live show. We are using StreamYard to stream the live video because of a problem introduced for Mimo Live with macOS 12.2 only on the new M1s. So we're running beta software with Mimo Live, and they're working their little programming fingers to the bone trying to get it fixed. But in the meantime, we're trying out StreamYard, and I think it's working pretty well. I think we're going to be okay with this. Well, Bart and I recorded an episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond that's kind of a halfway between a light episode of Chit Chat and a Programming by Stealth. It's a story time episode about how Bart became a computer science. Jeez, he didn't become a computer science. Okay with this. Well, Bart and I there is no link, just so Steve knows. Well, Bart and I recorded an episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond that's kind of halfway between a light episode and a Programming by Stealth. So I think I'm actually going to shove it into both feeds. It's a storytime episode about how Bart became a computer scientist, who had a big influence on him, and how... Who wrote this? Bart and I recorded an episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond that's kind of halfway between a light episode and a Programming by Stealth. It's kind of a storytime episode about how Bart became a computer scientist, who had a big influence on him and how, and then a deeper dive into the fun he's had with solving Wordle the nerd way. I can't link to it today, though, because Bart used today's word in his Wordle explanation, so I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I'm going to post it on Monday, and there's a non-zero chance that I'll remember to link to it in the NosillaCast show notes blog post. You won't see the notes in your podcatcher for this episode because they're too fast and any changes I make don't get pushed to you. But in any case, the recording will be in both the Chit Chat Across the Pond Light feed and the Programming by Stealth feed when it comes out in your podcatcher of choice. All right. Speaking of hot.
Okay, I think we got it working over at podfeed.com/live.
We did?
We did.
I bet it was that link thing you were talking about, how you said you got it all set up ahead of time.
Normally that works.
Yeah, but it's a link coming from a completely different source. That's why.
No, it's the same link. It's
inexplicable.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to do my, let's see, we need to be in the live show. Am I in the live show? Yes. I can do a grumpy button here. All right.
Oh, let me show that.
Here we go. Oh, you know what I can't do now? I can't overlay another window over top of Discord and have you see it. Because I'm sharing a window. Right now, I've completely covered up, sorry, not Discord, but Hindenburg. So I'm moving a window over Hindenburg, and it's not in your way. So that's good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm actually going to drop in Kurt Leibowitz here. So I'm sad that PDX Kurt is not here. This is PDX Kurt from the chat room that you guys know and love. I think he introduces himself.
This is a review of OpenCore on the 2010 Mac Pro computer. 2010...
Nope, he does not. Okay, let's get started with a review from Kurt Leibowitz, also known as PDX Kurt in the live chat room. And I think that's got too much gap. Let me see. Podcatcher of choice. Okay, let's get started with a review from Kurt Leibowitz, also known as PDX Kurt in the live chat room.
This is a review of OpenCore on the 2010 Mac Pro computer. 2010 Mac Pro? Why would anyone be talking about a 2010 era computer, much less be using it in 2022? Let's see if I can come up with a car analogy. Okay, so my MacBook Air is kind of like a Mazda Miata. It's small and reasonably fast, doesn't cost an arm and a leg. A MacBook Pro might be analogous to a high-end German touring sedan, perhaps a BMW 740i. There's more power under the hood, more refinement in the features offered, and of course it costs more, sometimes a lot more. Then there's the iMac. The iMac is the Buick family sedan of the Mac ecosystem. Good functionality, reasonable pricing, but you don't take it out on the track to compete. Now the 2010 Mac Pro is like, well, there is no one vehicle that captures the spirit of the 2010 Mac Pro, also referred to as a classic Mac Pro. It can have the speed of a Porsche 911 Turbo, the raw power of a Mac truck, the carrying capacity of a 13-passenger Dodge van, the versatility of maybe a VW Thing. For those who don't remember, the VW Thing was a close cousin of the VW Bug, and it had an ugly Jeep-like appearance that allowed you to strip its doors and windshield off if you wanted. In short, the 2010 Mac Pro is really the only affordable Mac in current use that allows you to customize it any way you like, since it was built as a standard platform utilizing standard PC parts like Intel processors, PC RAM, PCI Express cards, and SATA drives. Another crucial feature is the fact that it's also compatible with a wide range of PC GPU cards, from 2010 era NVIDIA cards to the latest AMD gaming monsters. I've customized my 2010 Mac Pro with several technologies that were not even on the drawing board at the time it came out, including a metal-compatible GPU, USB 3 ports, an NVMe boot drive, 48 GB of RAM, Bluetooth 4.0, and more. Perhaps the most astonishing thing is that you can even add Thunderbolt 3 ports to a Mac Pro. I would also say that, similar to the automotive hobby world, the 2010 Mac Pro has a large, fanatical, never-say-die fan base, which is probably its most important asset. It's out of that community that OpenCore on Apple hardware was born. So, with that as an introduction, what is the problem to be solved exactly? Well, as I'm sure we're all aware, all good things must eventually come to an end in the Apple world. Specifically, Apple obsoletes older hardware on a regular basis, and obsolete hardware stops getting updated software. For the classic Mac Pro, the last supported operating system was macOS 10.14, Mojave. And now, in early 2022, Mojave is no longer getting updates. How does one continue on with a Mac Pro 2010 and enjoy the fruit of Apple's latest, most secure, and feature-rich operating systems? This is where OpenCore comes in. At its heart, OpenCore for the Mac Pro is basically the same technology that was developed for the purpose of running macOS on non-Apple hardware, i.e. Hackintosh technology. Except in the case of OpenCore for the Mac Pro, it is running on Apple hardware, which I think lowers some barriers. For one thing, you can never be completely locked out of your computer. In the worst case, you can always boot back into a copy of Mojave as a supported operating system and work on repairing your OpenCore installation from there in a familiar environment. Before explaining how OpenCore works, I'd like to spend just a moment explaining how OpenCore doesn't work, so that you'll appreciate the elegance and durability of the OpenCore approach. Prior to OpenCore, various people developed patched installers. They took a stock Apple installer disk, added various drivers from prior versions of the OS, removed other software, and literally changed bytes to make the installer think that it was working with supported hardware. This was laborious, and the patched installer would be outdated when Apple issued updates. It also meant relying on drivers that were no longer getting updates, and there were other downsides as well. A different, better approach was called for. Parallel to this effort of keeping old Apple hardware alive with new versions of macOS, the Hackintosh community was developing their own solutions to run macOS on non-Apple hardware. At some point, someone in the community who goes by the moniker
I think we lost your audio again, Al. So, do you hear Allison in the chat room? No, no edit in the chat room? No. Okay. I think we're getting some interaction maybe with StreamYard, and she's working it.
CDF.
So we do hear Hindenburg, just not your mic. Yeah, if she's looking at her audio settings, they seem to be changing on her.
How about now? Can you
There
hear
you
me?
go.
Okay, but that I just changed it so you won't be able to hear Hindenburg. So let me change it back now. So can you hear? You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, I don't know about Discord. I can do it. Can you hear Allison in
Yeah.
Discord, folks, right now? No.
Okay. Wait, very soft. That's weird. How could they hear me? They should be able to hear me or not at all.
So is it no or soft? Not on
Am I
YouTube, but
louder?
on Discord. Can you hear Allison at all? No.
The only thing I can think of. I'm going to quit loopback. I'll be
All
right.
right.
I don't know what's going to happen. Loopback. No, I don't think quitting loopback fixes anything. Oh, I know what I did last time to fix it. Hang on. I messed with audio hijack. It was audio hijack that had stopped.
Yeah, we know it's YouTube is working. It's just Discord we're working right
Okay.
now. There we go.
Yep. So audio hijack is losing it for some reason. I don't think StreamYard could be causing this. I really don't. It's like
So-
audio hijack is just stopping capturing my mic.
Weird.
Yeah. Very strange.
Okay, you want me to go back to the you?
No, if you aren't going to be able to see my messages quickly in StreamYard, then you can't cut me off because I wanted to stop a lot sooner, but I couldn't get your attention. So
Well,
is it hard for you to watch the StreamYard chat?
No, I didn't know you were chatting me in the beginning. So now
No.
that I know,
But after you did find it, and then I was playing Kurt's piece, I was trying to tell you I needed to stop Kurt's piece and come back in, but I can't go back in on my own. I need you to put me back in, and you
Right.
didn't see all my messages.
gotcha.
I wrote a whole bunch of them, and I wrote in the Discord chat too. So I don't know. Maybe I can't ever be off air if I'm not going to be able
So
to.
you just wanted Hindenburg by itself. We don't normally do that.
Yeah, but the problem is I'm huge and I'm not paying attention. So I thought it would be better to show Hindenburg.
Oh,
That's
well,
all I was thinking.
we could do this.
Right. But then
and-
both of our audio comes through, so you hear us typing and everything. So, yeah, that might be better. Yeah,
We could do that.
yeah, that might be a better view if I'm just playing a recording. So right now, I'm not going to play a
So
recording.
you know what I haven't shown them is this. There's the chat room.
And then maybe if you were doing that, you'd have seen me saying, "Let me back in, let me back in." Oh, wait a minute. Okay, they had lost me. Okay, now I'm just gonna keep that up and see. Okay, I gotta say nice things about Kurt. Okay, I guess mute your mic. Very good.
Upholstered in the purple blue shades of macOS Monterey.
I think this is so cool, Kurt. I love the idea of keeping a great machine alive, a Mac truck as it was, and I think that's really neat. I had never heard of OpenCore before, and this is cool. I just think it's all around cool. We should always be able to keep our computers running as long as that hardware is running. Why shouldn't it be allowed to be on the latest OS, patched and secure, as it were? All right. So now I'm going to press my button. Press my grumpy and copy, and there's my chapter mark. There we go. All right, now good sausage. Okay, now I get to talk. I wonder if I can. So I'm now going to talk about the Stream Deck. Actually, make me big there for a second, Steve. Yeah, thank you. That was quick. Let's see. This is my Stream Deck, and I'm going to be talking about how I press buttons and things change, and I got a live show button here, and it's going to be very exciting. That's what we're going to be talking about. All right, here we go. I remember distinctly when the Palm Pilots first came out. My friend Eric told me I needed one. I asked him why. He said, because it can hold your calendar, your contacts, and your notes in it. And I said, well, that's fine, but I already had a Franklin planner that could do that. And I pointed at my 8.5 by 11, 3-pound leather-bound planner that I carried everywhere. He kept badgering me, and even though I thought I didn't need one, I finally got one on his advice. Of course, it was a much better solution to the same problem for so many reasons, not the least of which was being able to have a backup of all that critical data. I remember somewhere along the line, someone actually borrowed my Franklin planner from my office, and I just freaked out because my whole life was in there. I didn't know what meetings to go to. I didn't have anybody's phone number. It was a nightmare. Anyway, years later, I remember distinctly when the BlackBerry came out. I didn't understand why people thought they were all that in a bag of chips. Then my friend Mike, who was pretty much like that little kid named Mikey in the cereal commercial, hey, Mike, let's have Mikey try it. He hates everything. Anyway, Mikey told me, he said I should get one, and I asked him why. Well, he was fairly high up in our company, and he got a ton of emails. He explained that when he went home every night, he used to push back from the dinner table, say goodnight to his family, and then spend a couple of hours answering emails. He told me that when he got the BlackBerry, he realized that he could answer emails during all these little wasted waiting moments throughout the day. Like waiting for an elevator, he'd knock off a couple of emails, or waiting for a meeting to start, he could knock off a couple of more. He found that he no longer needed to leave his family at night to answer his emails. I knew if Mike liked it, I had to try it too. I got a BlackBerry, and then I finally understood the value. Well, a few years ago, someone told me I needed to get a Stream Deck. I really wish I knew who first suggested it, but they started a long line of people who said the same thing. Every person explained to me why they love their Stream Deck, and I'd go look at the Stream Decks online, and I'd hover over the purchase button, but I just couldn't figure out how it could help me. This is, of course, a story about how much I love my new Stream Deck. The Stream Deck by Elgato is a small box with a bunch of buttons on the front, and you plug the device into your Mac or PC via USB. Each of the buttons is programmable to execute functions on your computer that you define. I'll describe in detail how it works in a moment, but I wanted to just set the stage of what Stream Deck is. Well, Stream Deck was originally designed to help streamers, hence the name, and I think that's why people originally thought I would need it. I'm streaming video right now. An example would be that you're live broadcasting and you want to insert some audio at a specific time. You could just push a button on the Stream Deck and play that audio into the stream. I never need to do that, so I ignored people telling me I needed a Stream Deck. At some point, someone again suggested I needed a Stream Deck. I looked at the Stream Deck website and learned that they have models with 6 buttons, 15 buttons, or 32 buttons. Well, obviously, I couldn't buy any of them because there's too many choices. How would I know which one to buy? Then I heard other podcasters talking about their Stream Decks and how it was a life-changing device, and I'd again look at them online, and I'd run away because there were too many choices. At some even later point, someone suggested I test out the capability with the free 30-day trial of the mobile app for Stream Deck. No hardware to buy, just turns your phone into a 15-button Stream Deck. I downloaded the app to my phone, and I figured out how to get the buttons to execute some of the automations I've already set up as keystrokes. It was really fun. It was also way more work than using a keystroke. Instead of mashing down a bunch of keys on my keyboard to launch all of the apps I need for the live show, now I had to pick up my phone, authenticate with Face ID, find the app, launch it, rotate my phone into landscape mode, and then push a button. Not quite as easy as just mashing down those keys. If you were using the mobile app all the time while streaming, I suppose it makes sense to have your mobile device already running the Stream Deck mobile app and maybe propped up in an easel so it's ready to use, but for me, it just wasn't that convenient. The Stream Deck mobile app costs $3 a month or $26 a year, while the 15-button equivalent Stream Deck is $150. You could use the mobile app for nearly 6 years before hitting that $150. Plus, it would always be with you. I can see how it might be great for others, but it just wasn't helpful to me. Now, my good friend Pat Dengler is much less cautious when it comes to buying gear than I am. She tries out everything and then just sells what she doesn't need. She went on the site OfferUp, which is kind of like a modern-day Craigslist, and found someone selling an unopened 32-button Stream Deck XL for a great price, so she bought it, not knowing whether she needed it or not. I stood in the sidelines waiting to hear how it changed her life and what amazing things she was now able to do. After a few weeks of playing with it, I asked her how it was going, and her reaction was, "Meh, I don't think I need it." I was relieved because obviously my instincts were correct and I did not need one. That didn't stop people from telling me I needed a Stream Deck. Then 2 things happened. Pat came over for a visit, she brought her Stream Deck with her and left it for me to play with as long as I wanted. The second event was my friend David Roth, the one who always complains when I do math on the show. Anyway, he sent me a photo of his new Stream Deck XL. With a Stream Deck in the house and a bad case of fear of missing out, because David had one now, I really had no excuse to give the Stream Deck a good college try. Spoiler, I bought my own Stream Deck XL. I'm not saying it's life-changing, but it's very cool, and I think it has helped me be more productive already. Now, after 1,000-word setup, let's talk about Stream Deck and see if I can explain why people are so nuts about it. I'm definitely not going to talk about it from a streamer point of view, but hopefully more from a normal geek perspective. So think of the Stream Deck systems as a tool to improve your productivity by automating functions on your computer and then putting them a push button away. These automations can be as simple as launching an app to as complicated as running Keyboard Maestro macros that run HomeKit scenes and more. Stream Decks are managed by an app you run on your computer. You add functionality to the buttons on the virtual grid of the app, and you instantly see those changes on the physical Stream Deck, so it's kind of a mirror of what the physical Stream Deck looks like. I know what you're thinking. Is the Stream Deck app accessible to the blind? Sadly, it is not. I don't see why it couldn't be made accessible, since the whole thing operates on text lists and a rectangular grid of buttons. I sent them a tweet asking what the roadmap is for making it accessible. Anyway, moving along for the sightlings. On the right sidebar of the app are some default actions you can add to your buttons. The default set of actions are separated into categories, a lot of which are streaming related, along with more general categories like system, where you can execute normal OS type functions. You can add more categories, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's start with a very easy example. Let's say you want to launch an application with the push of a button. Simply drag the app from your desktop onto one of the buttons in the virtual interface. By default, this will put the icon for the app on the button, and it'll also put a title, which is the name of the app. With the icon there, I think it's kind of unnecessary to have the title there as well, but you can delete it if you like. If you like titles, you can edit the font and change whether it's at the top or the bottom. You now have a button to launch an app. You've done your first automation, right? This is great. Maybe not life-changing yet, but it's still kind of cool. What if to do a certain task you needed 3 apps to open? When I start a new session of recording videos for Don, I always launch ScreenFlow to record and edit, iThoughts for my mind map for the project, and Audio Hijack to route my audio. On the right sidebar, there's an option called Multi-Action, and this allows you to stack a bunch of actions into one button push. As a very simple example of what it can do, I dragged the multi-action option onto a virtual button in the Stream Deck app, and then I added the opening of my 3 apps into it. Now, with one button push, I can launch all 3 apps and be ready to go. Now, another built-in system function is to open a website. With the same process, you can choose website from the system category, drag it onto a button, enter the URL, and you're done. The icon for the website will just be a globe, which is a good starting point because it tells you it's a website. But if you set up 5 websites to launch, how would you know which button was which other than the titles? You could add that text, but that's boring. Turns out you can drag in any icon you have onto the buttons in the app right from your desktop. I made a website launch button to go to podfeet.com, and then I dragged the Podfeet logo onto it. Now I can go directly there with a push of a button, and of course, it's quite recognizable on the Stream Deck. Now, I know it seems easy to type in a URL, especially when your fingers know by heart, but there's something pleasing about pushing the button. I added one to open the WordPress interface to podfeet.com and one to the blog post category on podfeet.com, which I reference quite often. Now, I've got a lot more to tell you about some more complex things you can do, but I want to take a sidestep here to try to help answer the question of how many buttons do you really need on a Stream Deck? As I mentioned, I got the XL model that Pat had loaned me when she purchased it because she knew people who regretted getting one of the models with fewer buttons. But let me review the options you have available to you. The Stream Deck Mini has 6 keys for $80. That's 3x2. They have the Stream Deck Mark II or the Stream Deck Nothing. There are 2 models with the same number of buttons, and I didn't bother paying attention to what the differences were, but I think the Mark II is newer. Anyway, those models have 15 keys in a 3x5 grid for $140. The Stream Deck XL has 32 keys, which is 8x4 in the grid for $250. Now, it's pretty obvious that the more buttons you have, the more things you can have immediately available at your fingertips. However, if you got the Mark II or the Mini, you aren't restricted to just the number of buttons on the device. In the Stream Deck app, you have the option of creating different profiles. Each profile can have a completely different set of button assignments. Now, using my computer work as an example, I've created one profile for everyday work with Ulysses for writing draft posts and Mars Edit for finalizing my blog posts and links to the different Podfeet websites that I was talking about earlier. And I'm in and out of those all the time, so all of those things are instantly available to me. I call that my home profile. I created a second profile for the live show with the many different functions I need to perform. Then you can create a button on each profile that switches you to the other one. So I assigned a button on my home profile to switch me to the live show profile, and I used my NosillaCast Live logo for that button. On the live show profile, I assigned a button to go back to home, and I put a little house icon on it. It does take up a button to be able to flip profiles, and if you had 3 to switch between, you'd need 2 buttons to switch profiles. If you have a 32-button XL, that's not a big deal, but with the 6-button Mini, you'd likely need more profiles, and that would use up even more buttons for navigations between those profiles. So profiles seem to be most useful for switching between entirely different contexts. But what if you have a need for more buttons within the same context? For that, you can add pages. As soon as you add a page, it automatically adds back-forward buttons on all the pages, so it's very easy to flip between them. For a smaller Stream Deck, to save buttons, it might be better to use pages than profiles. I like that we have both options, though. Even with pages and profiles, I'm not sure a 6-button Stream Deck would be of much use, though, because as soon as you have to push a button to change screens in order to push a button, it might have been far easier to just do the task by hand. Now, the one advantage of the big girl Stream Deck XL is that you have a lot of room to move buttons around and lay them out in a way that makes sense. I have big gaps where no buttons are assigned, and so I don't have to do as much Tetris playing to move buttons around. At $100 more than the Mark II, though, it's a bit of a luxury. The sweet spot for most people is probably the 15-button Stream Deck Mark II. I think that's why companies always make 3 sizes, because like Goldilocks, the middle one is usually just right. All right, let's get back into more things you can do with Stream Deck now that I've chosen which model to get for you. One of the things people said would be cool is that I would be able to map things like text expander snippets or keyboard maestro macros to the different buttons. Now, I'm not a maestro by any means of keyboard maestro, but I've written a few simple macros that do some cool things for me. For example, I have a macro that simply opens up all of the apps I need for the live show. I assigned a finger cramping keyboard trigger to do it, and it's fully in my muscle memory. When people tried to talk me into getting a Stream Deck, I didn't understand why it would be any easier than using my keystroke. I signed a couple of macros to buttons on my Stream Deck, and during the live show last week, just days after getting it, I used the buttons to trigger the macros, and I was really surprised that I loved it. So this was the thing I couldn't figure out. If I already had a keyboard shortcut, why would it be better to push a button? Well, the second thing is that Mike Price, also known as Grumpy in the chat room, wrote me a super complex macro for one function in the live show that I normally run by holding down Command Control Shift Option H. Instead of doing that, I simply hit a button that had the Snow White character Grumpy on it. I couldn't believe how much easier and just somehow more intuitive it was to press that button instead of using the keystroke that I'd been using for quite a long time. I took a break in recording and I said, I don't understand why I like it so much better than using a keystroke. That's when Jill from the North Woods piped up. She was in the chat room and she also just got a Stream Deck, and she gave me a great answer. She said that even if you know a keystroke, it requires some amount of cognitive load to remember the keystroke and then execute it. In contrast, pushing a button only requires you to recognize the icon. I think she's right, and it shows the importance of having an icon you can recognize, like Grumpy from Snow White. Now, I know a lot of people who are not keystroke junkies, and maybe the Stream Deck would be really good for them. Everyone tells these people text expander's the greatest thing on earth, and it really is. But if your brain just isn't wired for keystrokes, it's never going to become part of your workflow. It's possible that a Stream Deck could be just what they need. What if you had a button you could push that typed your name, or typed your signature for emails, or wrote some boilerplate language that you always have to go find and copy and paste? I haven't tested this idea yet on my non-keystroke friends, but I'm wondering if button pushing might be more intuitive for them than using keyboard shortcuts. Now, it's about time I confess something. Within hours of playing with the Stream Deck, I felt like I'd discovered everything, and it seems kind of limited. I forget exactly what specific thing I was trying to do when I hit the wall, but I searched on the interwebs whether there was a way to do it with Stream Deck, and I was directed to a video by Alec Johnson on his channel, Take One Tech. Now, that name might sound familiar to you because after watching Alec, I had to have him on Chit Chat Across the Pond last week to talk about how he does his videos. It's a fantastic episode. You should definitely go listen to that. Anyway, Alec's video answered my questions quickly and succinctly and taught me so much more that the Stream Deck could do. I immediately began devouring his content as I started to understand the power of this device. For example, I said just now that you could trigger text expander snippets within Stream Deck. While that's true, it's a two-step process where a plugin for Stream Deck allows you to access Keyboard Maestro, which that can then trigger a text expander snippet. Now, that sounds unnecessarily complex, and it kind of is, but Alec's video on the process made it very easy to get it to work, and of course, I linked to it in the show notes. Now, remember I said I felt like I'd explored everything that Stream Deck could do, and it just seemed limited? By watching Alex's video, I learned that there's a Stream Deck store. Now, don't get worried. This is just a repository where you can download the hooks to control other applications. It's not a store where you pay for things. While Stream Deck comes with some built-in hooks, the store has a vast catalog of plugins, icons for your buttons, as well as royalty-free music and sound effects. The plugin categories are audio, developer tools, like my beloved Visual Studio Code, engagement, finance, gaming, general, lighting, monitoring, music, productivity, smart home, social, streaming, utilities, and video. Whew! Anyway, I told you how Alec explained how to run Keyboard Maestro macros with Stream Deck. He explained that in the store under Utilities, you'll find a plugin called KM Link. Once you've installed it from the store, you can just drag it onto any button, and then you'll get a drop-down to select the Keyboard Maestro macro you want to run when that button is pushed. This is how I added Grumpy's button to run Mike's super complex macro during the live show. Now, I know this next example of what I do with my Stream Deck is super dumb, but it's probably the thing I've used the Stream Deck for more than anything else. Under the lighting category in the store, I found the Elgato Lighting Control Center. Makes sense it would be in there because Elgato makes both the Stream Deck and my Keylight Air. From the plugin, I could add a button to my Stream Deck to turn my Elgato Keylight Air on and off. This is a light I use for lighting up my face for video, and the switch on the back is really hard to find. I know that sounds dumb, but it's really, really hard to find. I can do it from a menu bar app, but that's clumsy too. Now I have a very expensive light switch button on my Stream Deck. I told you this idea was dumb, but now I have to figure out how to toggle on and off my new Logitech Lightra Glow, but that I think has Bluetooth. I'm not sure. Anyway, I should probably stop talking about the plugins in the store because I've only barely dipped my toe into it so far, so I'm not an expert, and I can't wait to dig into it more. The bottom line is that I definitely did not need a Stream Deck until Pat convinced me to try hers. Sometimes automation task means spending 3 weeks creating something that saves you 5 minutes a week. But once I got the basic hang of the Stream Deck interface, I found that it only takes me a minute or two to add an automation to it. I may have spent a lot of time making my silly home icon, and it did take me a while to pick the right icons to switch between my profiles, but usually I sit there thinking, hey, I wonder if I could do this with Stream Deck, and a few minutes later, I've got a button that will speed me up. So, do you need a Stream Deck? Maybe you do. The best way to find out is to get someone to loan you one. Short of that, I recommend buying one and finding out for yourself. I think it's great fun, and I do find that when I'm away from my desk with my laptop, I actually miss my Stream Deck. Oh, there you go. Catch your breath. Thank you. Oh, Jill, you watched a bunch of his videos today? Are you talking, Steve? I just heard him say nope from the other room. Unmute yourself, dear. Can't hear
Okay,
you. There,
how about now?
There you are. Well, let's see. I was going to play one more thing, but I've got security bits, and I might save it. The question is, did I promise Chris I was going to play his? I don't think I did.
How long is security bits?
Oh, it's always long. How long is it? It is like an hour or something.
Oh, wow.
59 minutes. Yeah, Chris, I think you're moving to next week. I hope I didn't promise him. I know I promised Kurt his was today. Did I promise him? Let me check. I hate to break a promise to somebody. Sent. By the way, I'm getting a Google security alert every time StreamYard uses. No, it was Kurt. I promised it would be tonight. Yay, goody. Every time you log into StreamYard, I'm getting another security alert from Google.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you are streaming to YouTube using your credentials, your Google credentials, which we gave to
8 times 4.
StreamYard.
I forget to. Somebody showed me the math was wrong. I said 8 times 5 was 32, and I forgot to fix it, but it's fixed
Actually,
now.
not your login credentials, but your streaming key.
Oh, okay. But we did that with Mimo Live, and it didn't yell at me every week.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to change the title of this blog post really quick because I got to take out LaTeX. Take that out. And I got to open up. But when you see the blog, you're going to be really confused. Everything is way different. This new plugin.
Yeah.
Which episode am I on? What did I say it was on? What's
LaTeX?
What episode? No, what's our
874?
And see number 875 then. One can only hope.
So LaTeX is moving forward to 875?
Yeah. It's actually pronounced LaTeX.
LaTeX, even though it's
Yeah.
an X. Okay.
Oh, I hate this. When I changed the when I changed plugins, it erased all my markdown and all of my blog posts.
Oh.
Yeah.
It made changing the link in the live page fun.
Oh, so you
That's
did
why it
see
took
that.
so long. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, that
No,
was
that-
changing the plugin.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I pushed that. But if it sped up the website, it was taking like 35 seconds to refresh the site today.
Yeah.
That was nasty.
Amazing.
Al says, "Hey Joe, can I borrow your Stream Deck?" That's right. All right. Let's see. So this is support the show. I need a macro for this. Steve's going silent. Support the show. Oh, I could copy this link. There we go. All right, I'm going to take a moment here. Steve's being good at muting. I told him he never remembers, but he's doing a good job. All right, where's Marty? Marty's not been here in a while. I'm going to call him out here. I would like to take a moment to thank Troy Shimkus, Louis Butler, Marty Gensius, Ryan Walden, and Zohar Zimmerman for supporting all of the shows at the Podfeet podcast for the last 2 years. These fine people went to podfeet.com/Patreon and signed up to pledge a dollar amount they thought reflected the value they get out of the show and matched what they could afford. As Tom Merritt and Brian Brushwood are fond of saying on the Cord Killers podcast, these people are helping keep this show live, loud, and independent. Now, I don't want to be beholden to advertisers. I'd rather be beholden to you, the listeners. So please consider joining Troy, Louis, Marty, Ryan, and Zohar, and you go off and try to help the show. And you go off? That was clumsy. I don't like it. Let me fix it. Now, I don't want to be beholden to advertisers. I'd rather be beholden to you. Okay. Steve's back. I can hear the hiss. Mute yourself, okay, honey? So please join Troy, Louis, Marty, Ryan, and Zohar and help the show. There we go. Now you can come back. Hold it to you. So please join. There we go. Can I donate your Patreon? I don't know what that means, Al. You can donate to Patreon. Absolutely.
Don't even need to ask. You're more than welcome.
Yep. You don't have to ask permission for that one, Al. I pushed the button too many times. The one thing, the buttons on the Stream Deck are kind of, you have to like really push them in. And I think it's double dipping. Let's make it. I don't think that's.
I don't think it added a chapter mark.
It didn't finish it yet. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So now let's... Oh, I'm going to need some math help. At 23 minutes in from wherever I end up starting this, I need to mute or cut a piece out of mine because a car went by. 1 + 1 is 2. Thanks, John. You're such a pal. Oh, shoot. I forgot to use I have a button on my Stream Deck to do what I just did, but it's not on this page. Okay, let me start here. Okay, so now...
Looks like 5728 is where you need.
Oh, you just added for me?
Well, you shifted a little bit, maybe 5724.
Okay. So let's see, get rid of Bart.
Unless you shift again.
And, well, I will be shifting a little bit. Let me... Yeah, give me 1 second because I got to put in the security bits music. Just down here. Get ready. How did you add time?
I'm just adding 23 minutes even. It's pretty easy, right?
No.
Oh, I thought you said add 23 minutes.
Oh, it is even. Okay, fine. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And in Zohar and help the show. That's right, Mike. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for... How was that?
Yeah, that's good.
You don't need more gap than that?
No.
Okay, 34 and 23.
5728.
57. Oh.
Hit the mic.
Wee. 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 Okay, come on. They're getting tired of that wee. Okay, where was it? Bart was talking, and...
Google can be the ones driving this. I don't know if they can be in the driver's seat and have this succeed.
I don't see it.
So it's interesting.
Right.
Anyway, link in show notes to...
Okay,
which
cool.
is an hour and 38 minutes in, so that is helpful.
Good reason to have it. Good. Thank goodness for bookmarks, right?
Yeah. So deep dive number 2, carefully phrased it that way, right?
You're not going to the word good. Look how dead my audio is.
Yeah. The floor is...
Yeah, I don't think it picked up the
car.
Yeah.
You did say 20. You did say 23 minutes after the start of the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5728.
Oh yeah, sorry, Al. I cut off the plink.
Plink is dead.
Oh no, the plink's not dead. Why does this sometimes work and other times not work? Nope. Okay. You're gonna make me... All right. All the way to the end. Whee! Yeah, this is a long enough show. Oh, good grief. Why did it take me back to the beginning? Okay, you're supposed to be able to... Oh, no. You're supposed to be able to hit function command right arrow and go to the end. It's not working. I'm going to have to scroll. And then Bart forgot to stop recording, he said. Oh, wait a minute. Well, this was a lot of stuff. I thought it was...
Thank you for doing it. It was very relieving.
Big shoes to fill.
Anyway, folks, you know how I'm going to end this. Until next time, remember to stay patched so you stay secure.
Oh, I know what's wrong. I know why we couldn't hear it. It was on Chit Chat today.
Oh, not security bits. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see how it looked. Let me zoom up on this. I think he keeps talking there for a second. All right.
So you stay secure.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, an hour and 33 minutes is long enough. All right. This is me muting Steve. Thank you. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do you know that you can email me anytime you want, and I'll probably write back to you? You can do that by emailing me at allison@podfeed.com. If you have a question, suggestion, just send it on over. Even a review, that's even better. You can follow me on Twitter at Podfeed. If you want to join in the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCastaways, even Kevin. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can support the show at podfeed.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. I said even Kevin, and I had in my head I was talking about the live show, but whatever. Kevin's not too active in the Slack, right?
Yeah, I don't see you much. Kevin, how do you go into Slack very often? I don't see you there too often, but I'm not there a lot as well.
Yeah, you're actually a real deadbeat. You're hardly ever in there, even when people are writing to you.
I'm trying to cover the Facebook side since someone dropped it.
Let's see, I go my home button. I'm going to launch the text expand. I just noticed I did some editing of my ending snippet, and there's a typo in it.
Oh.
It says WNAT. WNAT. I bet I could search for that. There we go. In my ending, WNAT.
If you want not to join the conversation.
Yeah. It's probably in there last week, too. Where is it? Oh, and why does it start with podfeed.com/? Just get rid of that. Where is it? If you want, right after podfeed. There it is.
Yeah.
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 You're funny. How can you can't see what I'm doing?
Well, I see where it is, where the typo is.
Right, but when I said I found it, you said yeah.
Because you just listed, it said right after at podfeed.
Okay. Good. It's fixed now. Okay. All right. Let's hear how that sounds. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. I think Al's making fun of me for saying he was going to become the computer science.
You know what we should have done?
What?
Maybe you can do it next. We should have plugged Bodie's.
You know what? On my walk, I meant to do that.
Yeah.
I'll
Maybe next week.
Yeah, I'll put it in for next week. I just started a new one.
So you could tell the live show.
Especially since I couldn't. Yeah, let's see. Plug Bodie and Bart. Plug Bodie and Bart. So Bodie Grimm had Bart on his show, on his Kilowatt podcast, to talk about what it's like to drive an EV in Ireland. It's really good so far. The beginning of the show is about 15, 20 minutes of him going over the news, and you really get a flavor of what's delightful about Bodie, because he messes up what he's saying about 28 times, but he leaves it in and just makes fun of himself. It's really funny. He's not a precise speaker, but it's very enjoyable. So it's it's a really cool show. I'm only about halfway through it. Oh, chapter mark count. Yes.
You got it.
All right. So I have 4. One is support the show, but I moved Chris.
Right. So I've got 3. I've got 4 minus 1 plus 1. Sounds like 4.
All right. Looks like we got it. And
Yep.
we're out on time, even with all the goofing around at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, let me go back to
Because
this.
somebody didn't want to practice that part of it.
Who needs practice?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Do you know how to stop the show, Steve?
I see an end broadcast button here in red. I bet that'll do it.
Okay. Well, let's say I got to kiss Rose goodbye. Goodbye, Rose. Mwah, whether she's still here or not. And now, say goodbye, Steve.
Goodbye, Gracie.